Hello, it's Luna B here, and I have a really, really special guest here today. Welcome, Tina.
Hi. Hi, hi, hi. It's I'm so honored to be here with you for sure.
I'm honored that you're here. So, we are here actually in celebration. Tina just gave birth to a beautiful book called Coming Home. And I saw this, I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know you were writing a book. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, I see this book. And I was like, congratulations. Like, I want to hear more and more. And of course, right away, I downloaded the book. And so I'd love for you to show us the book and maybe
Mm.
read the title and share a little bit about the story behind the book.
Yes, I'm super proud of it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support. First of all, it means so much. But the book is called Coming Home From Silence to Sovereignty, a legacy of generational healing, redemption, and recovery. So this is what I birthed. At age 56, I gave birth
You
to a
did.
book. Yeah.
You did. You
Yeah,
did.
it feels like it, it's been a long time coming. I've had chapters here and there written and the story continued to evolve and all that good stuff. But I don't know, a few months ago I was like, okay, the time is now. Let's go. We get to get this out there into the world. So super proud of it.
Yeah, and it's so beautifully written. So the story what also caught my attention. So many of you maybe know or don't know, but I am recovering from addiction myself. So I am sober from alcohol over 9 years, and I went through recovery myself, and I live recovery. So it's not like a one-time done. And we all know that so many of us are affected by addiction. And so the story is a story about addiction and about a journey of recovery. And for you, if you want to share a little bit more, just with our audience to hear the backdrop of the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy too because addiction comes in so many forms. Yeah, there's drugs, yeah, there's alcohol, but there's that, I talk about that in the book too. There's so many different kinds of addiction, and recovery comes in a million different flavors, right? But how mine started was I spent 22 years in corporate climbing the ladder, doing the thing, doing what I thought everyone else expected me to do, right? And I was just living my life. And at probably 48 years old, I was at the top of my career in corporate. And on a Sunday morning, I got a phone call from my daughter that said, Mom, something really bad happened. And she was 24 years old at the time. And I knew that she was struggling in her life, but I had no idea what was really going on in her life. And it's that moment when, and I know when I say this, there'll be a lot of people that feel this, but we get so caught up in the busy and so caught up in the doing and so caught up in the achieving and the performing and everything else that we don't stop. We just don't stop and pause. And when I got that phone call, my soul roared. I didn't know it at the time. I know it now as you look back, but my soul roared to pause. And so in a moment when, I could have just kept on going, my life stopped. Like literally it went dark. Everything stopped and work stopped. Everything stopped. She came home and we spent the next week reconnecting, reconnecting, crying, laughing, all the things. And at the end of that week, I watched her go up the airport escalator with a one-way ticket to a place in Arizona that I knew nothing about, states and states away. Not knowing what was going to go on when she was there, not knowing, I gave it up, right? Like I surrendered and gave it all up to God and trusted that she was moving in a direction that she needed to move in because she had chosen it. So the book is a lot about, we control life, especially as mamas. We
Yeah.
want to control the outcome. We want to control the narrative. We want to control how our kids act and do and be and all of that. And it was a moment in my life when my soul was roaring, Tina, just stop, stop enabling, stop fixing. And you get to empower her to figure out what's next. And you get to hold space while she's there. Again, I didn't have those words when it was happening, but it was me learning how to just hold space. I didn't have to fix, I just got to be. And that was in 2015. So that's been 10 years ago now. And we've spent the last 10 years in redemption and recovery and healing. And, I say that I sent her off to drug and alcohol rehab, and I sent myself to like get your shit together rehab. Because I knew, that mama moment when she disappears up going up that escalator. And, I'm sitting there with all the mom guilt and all the what did I do wrong? And I started playing victim and all the icky stuff that goes with that. And so I went on my own self-leadership journey, and I was addicted to a lot of things as well. And 3 years later, walked away from corporate and started a business because I was like, wow, if I'm 50 years old and I didn't know that these tools that I had been learning in the last 3 years were out there, I get to spend the rest of my life dedicated to teach and coach and train other people how to find these tools in their life so that they can recover in a way that they get their life back. So yeah, that's probably more than a longer version of what you wanted, but that's literally what happened. And so 10 years later, the book comes out. 10 years later, we have a retreat center together that we're building and growing so that we can support others on their journey.
Beautiful. So yeah, I actually want to take a pause. So one, it's a beautiful journey because it's also mother-daughter healing here. It's generational healing. It is, I love how you said I surrendered and I stopped fixing, because no, we cannot fix, if it's someone else's addiction, it's up to them to make that choice. And she made that choice to go to
Yeah.
rehab.
Yeah, we laugh about it now. It wasn't so funny in the moment, but that week when she was at home, before I really started understanding that whole empowerment versus enablement kind of thing, I literally, because I'm a corporate, right, was my background, business was my background. So I literally, she went to bed one night and I went into my room on my laptop and created a 10-page PowerPoint deck of how she could, here's how to fix your life. Here's how to, I was trying to fix, and it wasn't mine to fix. And so that was one of the biggest lessons of my life that like saved my life is it's not yours to fix, Tina. It's yours to hold space. And yeah, it was a big lesson.
Yeah. And safe space. And I mean, you talk a lot about it in the book as well. And one of the things that you talk about is presence. And it's really funny. So I want to circle back how Tina and I know each other, because this is a
Yes.
funny story in a way.
Yeah.
We met each other. I was in a leadership training and you were the captain of the team and I was a
Yeah.
student. This was 3 years ago.
Maybe. I don't know. Time, I don't know time
Yeah.
anymore. At least three
Yeah.
years ago, maybe closer to four. I mean, yeah, maybe three. Yeah,
3 or 4 years ago, but like we had an instant connection
we
and
did.
we had a bond. And in this training, we got to do a thesis. And my thesis was on nervous system regulation and co-regulation. And I'm reading your book and I'm like, this is so juicy that so much of what I'm passionate about, you're passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another full circle is when I saw this, I was just like, mother daughter, like it's so touching to me. My daughter is a doctor, as I was sharing with you, and that she's an addiction, she specializes in addiction medicine. and
Nice.
and just the full circle of like how addiction touches so many lives.
Mm. The
um,
statistics are staggering. I mean, I have statistics in the book and some of the back chapters, but it's staggering. It really is. That's why I call it generational healing, because until we start turning that mirror around and really looking at it and being aware of those statistics and being aware of how it affects ourselves and our families, we continue the loop generation after generation after generation.
yeah, and even the work of staying emotionally sober,
Hmm.
nervous system regulated, it's a daily practice.
Yeah, one of the things that I talk about a lot is when I was in corporate and my whole life up until that time, I would say that my family was the most important thing to me. And I meant it. Like, it's not that I didn't mean it. I meant that. But then how I would turn around and show up is I'd work 60, 70 hours a week. I'd get so stressed out at work that I'd come home and take it out on everybody at home. There was zero nervous system, right? I didn't even know that word existed. I didn't even know what that meant. and I was practicing just the opposite. So what I said I wanted and how I was being and how I was showing up were so completely opposite. And when we're stuck in that rat race and just going and going and we're in that chaos and we don't take a second to pause and breathe and take a look at it, we just, again, we perpetuate that loop and we just continue doing it. You know, if I wouldn't have taken that pause to really get honest about what was and wasn't working in my life, I'd still be in it. I'd still be in it and not knowing I was even in it.
Yeah, yeah. And I love how you said, like, family, you were saying that family was the most important thing to you, and yet you weren't practicing that. And how right now, before we got on, you were taking care of your granddaughter. You're
Yeah.
like branding ahead. My whole life is family. And this is your testament. Your book is about you and your daughter, and about how you are building this retreat center together to support the healing of family. And it's just such a beautiful legacy to be moving forward.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the resources I wish I would have had when I was in that moment. Like there's this whole in the moment thing that happens with addiction where, we're addicted, we're doing it, we're in it, we're in it, we're in it. And then, there's that moment when you're super hungover, or there's that moment when you've just been screaming and yelling at her because of whatever reason, when you're like, where are my resources? Where are my tools? And I didn't have those resources and tools in that moment. I didn't even know where to look. I didn't even know that they existed. And so again, it's what my whole vision and mission is to create those resources so that people in the moment, in that moment, when I don't know what to do right now, but I know I want to do something different, to have those resources and to have the ability to embody something different. Because again, if we don't embody something different, we're going to keep getting the same results, whether you're the one with the addiction or whether you're the one taking care of the person or in that person's life. My son, right? Like years and years with my son as well, and 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls and all the kind of stuff. And when we don't know how to handle those in the moment moments, it makes life really hard. It
Yeah.
makes life really hard and it sucks the joy and it sucks everything right out of it. And until I made the decision that, like, no, I get to live in joy. I get to create joy in my life and I get to create joy in my family's life. I may not know what that means right now, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to find it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the difference. That's that moment when somebody, I think that a lot of the times we sit over here and don't do anything because we don't have the answer. We don't have the fix. You don't have to have the fix. You just get to be willing to show up differently.
Yep.
And if you're willing to practice that, then I guarantee you that eventually the result will be different as well. But if we're not willing to show up in a different way, we can't get to that
Yep.
different result.
100%. I was just looking for my book, which I get. Where is my book? I have. Oh, it's underneath my computer, holding my computer up. But this is the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which
Yeah,
I still read with my sponsor, and the whole context of this as well. This is the willingness. It is just willing to to create a relationship.
yeah,
Willing to surrender and not do it alone, and
yeah,
also having people who have walked this path. We don't do healing work alone. And I love that you're a fierce stand for right, especially around mother, daughter, and family, and supporting the other side of what it looks like when you're having a child going through addiction.
yeah. What breaks my heart right now, with social media being what it is, I see these reels and I see two different sets of reels. I see one set of reels where it's the child, whether it's the daughter or the son, where they've gone no contact with their mom or their dad or a family member or whatever that looks like. And that's a boundary, right? Like Courtney went no contact on me for a while, but then what happens on the other side of it? And there's reasons for it. Like people don't just go no contact for no reason. But what happens on the other side of it is, we play victim, right? Like I was mad at Courtney. Like, what do you mean you're going to go no contact? Why would you do that? What have I, I've done everything for you, right? And we get into this. So you've got the one family member, appalled that they're going no contact and not taking accountability for maybe there's a reason why there's no contact. And then we sit on opposite sides, right? We just sit in our corners and that relationship doesn't get repaired like it could. And so I talk in the book about Courtney and I's relationship, whether she was sober or not, was never going to evolve until I turned that mirror around and said, what do I own in this?
Yeah.
What do I own in this? And there was a lot of things that I owned. There's a lot of things that I owned, and there's a lot of conversations that we get to have with that person, that relationship, mother, daughter, son, mother, daughter, whatever that other person is. But we can't get to the solution. We can't get to the relationship until we're willing to go through that healing that is required to have those conversations and just to be like, yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'm so sorry, and I'm committed that that's not how I'm going to show up anymore. But when we're taking it offensively and taking it, and playing victim and all the kind of stuff, again, it just perpetuates the situation. You don't get to the relationship.
Yeah. I want to share something else, which is just like totally, of course, because, on this channel, I talk a lot about astrology. And so I want to talk about the journey, because you just
Mm.
mentioned the dates and I didn't know the dates of the journey. So you said that it was 2015 and now 10 years later. So there's a big transit, and Neptune is the planet of um, unconditional love and also mystery and dreams. It's also the planet, it's been sitting in Pisces. So during this time, it went in 2014, around that time, we have really, really been cultivating our practices and our spiritual practices, and also practices of possibly like where we've been disillusioned, because it's the big planet of disillusionment. And
Yeah.
it's and Pisces is all water. So it's really about our deep feelings. And the sign that it's moving into, because it went a little bit into Aries last year, and now it's back in Pisces for its final little hurrah, along with the planet Saturn, which is the disciple and the wise one and structure. It's there for the last couple of months now of the final closing of this chapter before it moves into Aries, which is Aries is leadership. Aries is taking action and visibility. It's a fire sign. So it's like that whole journey of, like, let's say the past 10 to 14 years, where Neptune's been doing this work, where we're all growing spiritually. Like, so much has changed in the world regarding yoga and meditation and NLP and all of these therapeutic things in your own journey and you and your daughter's journey. And it's like, okay, we've been through the ringer. We've learned so much. And now
Yeah.
I am birthing my book out into the world so that I could stand for others. And
Yeah.
it's really wild when we start playing with the astrology and understanding it. And it's not random, the dates that you're like, I get to birth it now, and then
Yeah.
I get to bring it into reality.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and you're the expert on all of that. My daughter is a psychic healer and reader and all of that as well. She that's where she went after she came out of recovery. So I don't know, like I could never explain it like you just did or like she does or explain any of it. Here's what I know from me, and I call it the ground level. She actually calls me, I'm on the ground level, right? Like I'm the ground game. All I know, so if you're out there and you're listening to this, yes, we're ready and we're here and there's a reason for it. But all I know is that I started listening to my soul.
Mm.
Because when I was in the chaos and I was in climbing and achieving and consuming and, in all of that, it's so busy and so noisy that you're not listening to what you like, what do I really want? And what is my soul telling me? And when I started listening to that and not doubting it and not going, oh, it's just a feeling, oh, like really trusting it, no matter if I knew the outcome or not, which is a big thing, just trusting what my soul and my intuition was saying, it leads me in the right direction. It's led me in this direction. My soul started saying, get that book out there. What are you sitting on it for? Get it out there. Get it out there. I dream of it at night. What are you doing? Get it out there. And I'm like, okay, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I'm going to get it out there. So it's all about the pause. It's all about just stopping the chaos and stopping the noise and trusting yourself enough to know that the answers are all inside. Everything you need is already inside. The answers are inside. It's all there, just waiting for you to listen.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
so beautiful. So I'm going to read one little quote from your book, and then
Okay.
we'll put the links where people could buy your book. And,
Amazing.
I'm loving reading this book. Highly recommend it for anybody that has maybe broken bonds in their families or going through somebody with a member of their family or for themselves, to dive deeper for anyone. Yeah, it's such a beautifully written book. And this is just a little quote from you. Healing begins with being heard. Wholeness begins with being held.
Ooh. Yeah. Holding yourself, right? Like through the process, yeah, I learned how to hold Courtney and hold space for her, but I also learned how to hold myself and love myself.
Yeah. So, what
Yeah.
is your greatest wish for this book now that you birthed it into the world?
My greatest book for this wish is that people stop and get out of the chaos and just read it. There's a whole workbook in the back of it, chapter by chapter, questions, journal questions, somatic practices, it's all there for you. It's all there for you. And I'm not the only person out there that has it. You like there's so much out there when you're willing to be eyes wide open and heart wide open and just go, okay, I don't have to have the answer. I just get to surround myself with the right people that are going to lead me in that direction. When I was your captain, I had already been in the work for a few years, and going through the whole process that includes. And every time I would show back up, I would grow stronger, and I would go deeper, and I would understand more. And it's a lifelong journey, and I've only just begun. I've been doing this work for 7 years now, not 10, because it took me a couple of years to figure it out. But um, I'm just beginning. There's so much more, but until we're willing to just stop and read the book per se, right? And really dig into your own leadership and how you're showing up, and is that how you want to show up? And if it's not, you get to do the inner work. You just get to do the inner work, and it's scary, and it's the hardest work I've ever done in my entire life. And it's also the most rewarding work I've ever done in my life. I mean, the ripple is real, Brandy. You know that. Like the ripple is real. There's been so many beautiful examples and situations of just healed relationships in my life that would never have been possible if I would have continued to let my ego lead my life. And that's really what it is. It's letting your ego go and starting to listen to your soul. So my advice is read the book. Just read the book and do the journaling and see what comes up. You never know. You never know what's going to come up.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for writing. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and you and your daughter's journey. And we're going to put the links down below where people could purchase this book. I highly recommend it. I wake up in the morning and I snuggle with it, and I'm just cherishing your writing. It's beautiful,
Aw,
and the wisdom that you are sharing. And thank you so much for being with me here
thank
today.
you. Love you. Thank you.